Another curious decision by a South African court, and we've seen some doozies over the past 6 years, including the North Gauteng High Court saying that racism was legal. Yeah, they allowed the Tourism Relief Fund to go to only historically disadvantaged groups, thereby depriving the black employees, the Indian, colored, and white employees who worked for those who had white-owned businesses from receiving relief. Of course, that was unconstitutional, despite that court's erroneous finding, and was later overturned by the Supreme Court of Appeal, but by then all the money was gone. The latest bizarre court decision is in a story by Marvin Charles at News 24. Press Council rejects AfriForum's bid to appeal white genocide op-ed. AfriForum lost its bid to overturn a Press Council ruling, with retired Judge Bernard Ngope dismissing its application for leave to appeal on June 24th, finding it had no reasonable prospects of success. On April 17th, the Mail and Guardian published an opinion piece which stated that AfriForum presented targeted violence against white farmers in international advocacy as a form of white genocide, which of course was defamation, libel, not protected speech. It's a false allegation. However, this judgment makes the argument that the media can say whatever they like regardless of the harm they do. AfriForum argued the statement was false and said that it never explicitly claimed a white genocide was occurring in South Africa. And of course, AfriForum is correct. To my knowledge, they've never used the term. It's the leftist legacy fake media that habitually dredge up the term, not AfriForum. The chairperson of the press appeals panel found that the lobby group had itself to blame for making statements that could be interpreted as a suggestion that there was a white genocide in South Africa. No, folks, we have the media to blame. What a boneheaded conclusion. So, does the judge have himself to blame for me thinking he's a moron? I suppose. In a decision on June 24th, retired Judge Bernard Ngope dismissed AfriForum and campaigns officer Louis Boshoff's application for leave to appeal a ruling by acting press ombudsman Johan Retief, finding that the application had no reasonable prospects of success, as I said before. Now, of course, it had no real chance of success. The Press Council's a joke. And that court, an even bigger one, in reaching such an outlandish conclusion. AfriForum argued that the statement was false because it did not claim that there was a white genocide occurring in South Africa and contended that it breached the press code. And they're correct. It did breach the press code. It is libel. Now, Retief dismissed the complaint back in May, finding that the article was clearly an opinion piece protected under Section 7.2 of the press code rather than straight news reporting governed by factual accuracy provisions. Oh, so the media can make up whatever lie they choose to, so long as it's called op-ed. As a journalist, that must mean that the media can claim Ramaphosa is a thief, with no consequences and no evidence. So Section 7.2 of the Press Council lets you say whatever you want, defaming somebody, slandering them, or libeling them, but you're protected because it's opinion. And why is a court intervening in a private organization's decision? This is strange. Ngope said both the opinion writer and U.S. President Trump had reached similar conclusions based on AfriForum's messaging. Horse manure. Trump made statements in response to endless media propagation of the white genocide term, not because of AfriForum. And even if Trump had reached that conclusion, how does the South African judge conclude Trump got there owing to a visit from AfriForum, not the endless propaganda of the South African media? The judge added that after an AfriForum delegation visited the United States, Trump publicly accused South Africa of committing white genocide and said the organization should reasonably have foreseen that his statements could be interpreted that way. And the Mail and Guardian should easily have seen how its lies about AfriForum have harmed that civil rights institution. And Ngope concluded the application has no reasonable prospects, and therefore it's dismissed. He referred to an interview in which AfriForum CEO Kali Creel declined to reject Trump's claim that a white genocide was taking place, instead saying South Africans should be grateful Trump's recognized the country's problems. Excuse me? What? Seriously? Is that all you need to reach your conclusion? Wow, this is like primary school in South Africa. And it's horse manure. Kali Creel has explicitly rejected the term white genocide multiple times in my interviews with him. I've had several. The selective choice of South Africa's judicial class is astounding. So they picked an interview in which he did refute it. And they claim a visit to the United States is the reason Trump used the term. No, the media ask him the stupid term every time you turn around. Do you believe there's a white genocide? Now that President Ramaphosa is here, do you still believe? Do you believe? They're the ones asking the question. Trump never talked about a white genocide. Eventually he did after being pestered over and over again. Long after AfriForum was there. And any idiot in the judicial branch, hey, I can say that, it's an op-ed, any idiot in the judicial branch, any idiot in a press ombudsman that makes the tie between one visit by AfriForum to America and Donald Trump repeating the garbage that leftist media have come up with is insane on the face of it. Retief also questioned why AfriForum had not corrected Trump's understanding if it believed he had misunderstood its position. So, Mr. Retief, it is the role of one of the very few South African organizations that are actually engaging with the U.S. administration to sit there and admonish and correct the most powerful political figure on the planet when you're seeking favors from that man to protect South Africans from trade sanctions. How stupid are these people? Retief, where did you get your education? In a bowl of Moleville pudding? Now that conclusion is interesting, given that the African National Congress has not even bothered to negotiate with the United States on trade. At least COSATU and AfriForum went there to try to protect South African trade. Additionally, I should note that at least AfriForum did not go to D.C. to lie to President Trump, as Ramaphosa and his white Minister of Agriculture repeatedly did in their meeting with Trump in front of global cameras. They lied. Mr. President, did they tell you where this is? I've never seen this. You've never seen the 1,000 crosses that were erected on the road to Normandy in response to the brutal farm murders of Glenn and Vita Rafferty. Unbelievable. He lied. Everybody knew that happened. I'm 6,000 miles away and I watched it unfold in real time. The big sign at the end asking Ramaphosa to stop farm murders. And he lied about it. And then the white minister, we formed this coalition to keep these radicals out of power. No, you formed the coalition to get your Uber Eats bill paid, buddy. That's what it was all about. Your craven lust for power. It wasn't to keep MK and EFF out. Yeah, so that you could get in. And you lied to President Trump. If AfriForum did leave a wrong impression with Trump, as it says, one would expect it to correct that misunderstanding, especially because the repercussions that followed. Why not correct the matter? As if one needs to bother answering that dim-witted statement again. You expect a private civic organization that has gone to Washington, D.C. to seek an audience with the most powerful political figure in the world to tell him in front of his advisors that, no, you're wrong. There is no white genocide. Yeah, okay. All right, sure. Right. They're not on equal footing. So the judgment has determined that the media can say whatever they want about you. They can lie. They can libel you. They can defame you. And you have no recourse because it doesn't violate the press code. What's the point of a press code if it doesn't hold journalists to standards? What's the point of a press code and a press ombudsman if you simply roll over and let people take it up the rectum every time that they're abused by abusive media? There's no point in having one. What say you, South Africa? Mzansi? Cheers.